We are on our way home, all of us, even Sleeping Beauty in the back there. We're on our way back to Ohio right now. Oliver McDonald ended his tournament weekend. Now the team itself won the B pool. They had a couple of heartbreaking. What do you mean you didn't?
Yeah.
Yes, you did. You won the B pool.
If we won the pool, then we would have went to the championship.
No, that was the A pool.
That was the A pool. You won the B pool. That was the championship. You just didn't know it. A couple of tough losses on the first night. They lost the first game of the season, 7-6, 7-6. I think.
No, it was 8-3.
No, that was not the first game. The first game, yeah. First game, it looked like they could have won. They were a little rusty. Everybody was, though. The second game, they won easy, and then the third game, they ran into a bit of a buzzsaw. That team was good. I think if you guys had played them today, I think you would have given them a run for their money. But in all fairness to the St. Thomas team, I don't think they had any games before yesterday either. So, played a great team. You played a great tournament. Ollie went 14 for 17 and was the MVP of the tournament for his team, right?
There was two,
yeah. The MVP. So a great, and you pitched a little bit. You have one strikeout, one earned run. You faced 6 batters, 7 batters, 8 batters? You did pretty good. Pretty good weekend. Anyway, as you guys are going to find out in a minute, it wasn't without its issues for us going away. We had one filly that got injured at the barn this weekend, and she sits in the bar. Luckily, her caretaker wasn't injured. It was an incident where she had got scared from something in the barn and bowled over the caretaker and got loose in the barn area for just a couple of minutes. But just like a kid, that doesn't take long to get hurt, and she ended up taking a piece off her cannonbone. So there's a real, I would say, a more than good possibility she's not going to race in 2024 now for a filly that had been faster than anybody and looked great and looked like was on her way to having a good season. But sometimes we're reminded quickly how that can change in an instant. And not the news I wanted to hear, but I spoke to Dr. Brown this morning, and he believes that she'll recover, make a full recovery, which is impressive from what I'd heard, the preliminary reports from what I'd heard from the veterinarian first on site, Dr. Katie. Just shows what kind of a great clinic is run there. One, we're lucky to have vets that are close by. That could have been, if that happens on a farm, I don't think she makes it. It happened at the track, and we're very, very lucky to have somebody like Dr. Latessa, or in this case, Dr. Katie, who was there on site quickly, assessed the situation, stabilized the filly, and then again, Dr. Brown for doing such a great job with her. Now, she's not out of the woods yet, but it looks like she is on the right path, which is good. And it just, when you say that, it's almost like, I say this sometimes, and you coast through a stop sign or bump into somebody or get in a car accident, I wasn't even in the same country, and I was just angry the whole day. I'm trying to enjoy myself, and I was just angry the entire day about something that was an accident. It wasn't anybody's fault, and I guess I'm glad that her caretaker Tressa was okay. And ultimately, I hope that the filly makes a full recovery, because we all know how talented she appeared to be. So that is an unfortunate incident that took place this weekend, but it happens sometimes, and I know all too well, as many of you do. So we'll get to the other 2-year-olds now and talk about them. It has been a great week of training for the babies and the 3-year-olds. It was a great week at the track. We talked about some of the horses that raced in the opening. It's going to be fun to do the 3-year-old list this week. A couple of big updates there. And obviously, just in general, as I said, just pleased with the way the week is all gone. Obviously, I have to compartmentalize everything and say, yeah, the week kind of sucks, because we have lost what appeared to be a very integral part of our 2024 rookie roster. But at the same time, putting that aside, everything else has gone tremendously well all week. So we'll start with Allie's Got Grit. Same kind of holding pattern with this guy. We're going to keep spit polishing him and putting him through the paces until he gets it right. If this was a horse that had to race in July, I think by now he would have been on my radar. He would have been in the principal's office, as I like to say, and he would have been working very hard. He doesn't have to be ready till August, and I'm quite comfortable in saying from where he is right now is an easy walk over to August. So I think just continue to work with the colt and he'll come around. Arrowhead Hanover. Now some of these horses you went with. Arrowhead Hanover looked great the last 2-3 weeks training. You've gone with him a few times too. He's a really nice colt. Does his work well, and really happy with what he's shown so far. Atrant, this is a filly. You said she looked. Did I hear you say she looked better the other day?
On Friday. She was good.
Yeah. See, this is going the right way. You know, and this is important. Obviously, you have things that happen, accidents that happen. I had a great email from a client today, Dave, and saying, you know, he's got Gaslight Hall, and now the thing was she sits at the bar, and I believe maybe Princess Dream was on there, and I said, Dave, injured is not dead. Princess Dream will race in 2024, right? Gaslight Hall is in the same holding pattern that 3 or 4 of the horses are in Ohio, and I already see the remnants said how good Melisandre looks on the track the last week, just from backing off a little bit and letting them, I guess, their physicality, in a sense, just catch their breath, right? It's push, 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 and then you get to a point where you're like, all right, back off and just let them come forward. And almost every single time they do. For Gaslight Hall, heard he looks great on the track. Sources, I have every intention that he's going to race in a full stakes season. But this idea that I understand when I put beside them, or I tell you guys, hey, this horse is injured or that horse is injured. I can tell you right now, the only horse injured right now, as far as a true injury that is going to keep them out of action, is She Sits at the Bar. That's the only horse that's injured. Gaslight Hall isn't truly injured. We just modified his training schedule. Same as we did with Resolve Indeed, same as we did with Melisandre, same as we did with Atrant, same as we did with Leggy, for all different reasons, but the goal is to get them to the track at 100%. No one cares if they get to the track and they can't compete because they're sore or they're making breaks and they don't look good. Our job is to get them to the very best form of themselves that we can get them to. That's our job. And I know when you hear me say, oh, Gaslight Hall or Melisandre, we need to back off, that is for them, their benefit. That isn't because we've given up or we think that their season is in jeopardy. Quite the opposite. I have every intention of getting all those horses into racing in 2024. And this is how we're going to do it. So for anybody else out there that's like Dave that hears me talk about horses we need to back off with, that's not anything more than a case-by-case basis, looking at the horse saying, okay, this particular horse seems to be struggling a little bit over the last 2 weeks. We've been really pushing him. Why don't we just step back a little bit, have that look at what the usual suspects are, their knees, their feet, how are they? And then after you get that piece of information in, how are you going to mitigate that? How are you going to fix that? How are you going to work with that so you can get that horse to the races? That's where we're at with the vast majority of these horses. And it is not me saying, well, it's going to be a watered-down version of themselves this year. Absolutely not. We're doing this now so they can be the very best version of themselves the entire stake season. That's why we're doing it. So I'm actually glad that Dave said that, because I'm wondering how many other people felt the same thing. So as I said, I do appreciate the feedback and I do appreciate the emails, and they are all well taken. Aunt Lily, another filly that we had, worked with and had to back off a little bit with, and then now she's taken off. She looks like a killer right now. Amongst some of our best trainers in the barn right now is Aunt Lily. She can really dance and she understands her work. What I like about her, she likes to be a bully. She likes to beat up on horses, and the day I put her on the front and she manhandled them, the further she got down the stretch, the stronger she got, because she was beating up on them. And I like the merciless attitude. I say it all the time. I like when they show no mercy. And Aunt Lily definitely has that attitude. Bluebird Tuxedo Hill looked great the other day. I thought he won a set, but I think on review he was second, right?
Was it the police? Or no, not the police.
I forget which horse it was.
It was the one with the
Idex. Yeah. No, that was a different set. That was Kiddo, right? Bluebird Tuxedo Hills look great. We found his little niche, how he likes to be trained and likely how he'd like to be raced. Up front or first over. He's not good in a sprinting position, coming from way off the pace unless you got enough time to grind up alongside them. He looks like that type of horse. So he always does well for Joey when he's either in a first over attacking position or if he happens to get him loose on the front. That's when he's his best. And I think it's just because he just doesn't have that snap to him, right? We've pushed a lot of these horses into some of those corners where you can see them sprint, and you'll be able to see, do these horses enjoy doing this? Is it something that they can build on, something they can grow through? And sometimes it's not. And I like what I see in Bluebird Tuxedo Hill, but we also get a very good look at how he likes to train, which is fine. Knowing how he likes to train and race would be very important also. Blue Ventura has trained very good the last 2 weeks. I trained him in 13 by himself maybe 10 days ago, and he trained right back the other day. Now he was just in behind our 3 heavyweights at the moment, Pacers, and looked very good. Fletcher Trailers. I've never heard of Fletcher. Must be riding horse people. Very happy with what I've seen from Blue Ventura. He looks like he's coming on nicely. Jason said he was behaved and steered well the other day, which is very good. Cadeau looked good again training this week. I was very happy with him. Joey said infinitely better over the last 10 days than he was before that. Captain Incredible won his set and then hitched a ride to Ontario. I wanted to get him over to Melissa McKee's clinic. He's got one ankle that carries a little bit of heat. I don't really know why. He doesn't show lameness on it. But I did want him to look at it. Again, we're trying to formulate the best path forward for Captain Incredible. So he's at Harry's barn right now. He's going to the vet tomorrow at 4 p.m. to get looked at. We'll talk to Harry, we'll talk to Dr. McKee, and then we'll formulate a plan for Captain Incredible as he starts down the path of the latter part of his training sessions into the summer of 2024. But he trained great at Northfield Park on Saturday. Century Legion looked good. Curtis still doesn't have videos up. I don't know why he doesn't have one. Century Legion looked very, very good training on Saturday. All 6 of those horses that trained looked great training, and he was certainly one of them. Chicago Hall also looked good. Johnny said he might have put an objection in. Danny came out underneath him down the lane. I haven't yet to see the video evidence, but he was adamant that he definitely got interfered with. And Chicago Hall looks very good as we head into May, into June. Cleveland Masha is still in the stall for another 2 weeks, I think. She stands in the stall for 2 more weeks, is that right? I think she stands in for 2 more weeks and then she starts moving. Country Dancing's training great over at the Meadows. Tim raves about this filly and his staff. Not just him, but his staff. Anybody that's gone with her tells me how good she really is and she can fly. Dancing in My Socks, again, was adequate the other day. He trained pretty well. I'd like to see him show a little more Eye of the Tiger, but we'll see how that... He is bigger than most of the other pacers. He's got that big floppy gait to him. And hopefully as he gets to the races this summer, he comes to life. We'll see how that plays out. Fire and Shine continues to do her work well. Again, I try my hardest just not to compare her to Rose Run Alexandra, and even the other filly now, Gorgeous Package, our Rudy of the Year. Well, I try not to compare her to them because they appear to be stone cold killers, and the other filly is just an even Steven. She's getting there. She looks good. She can go fast, just not quite as fast as the other ones just yet. Foxy Seaside is another one that can. Very fast filly, and I guess I should have just...
Yeah, she's kind of deserves
She's
to be
one of our best. Like, between Rose Run Alexandra and now Gorgeous Package and Foxy Seaside, all 3 of those fillies seem extremely talented. And I think of all... I gauge everybody by who we're sending to the next generation, right? The other one, who's at the top of the heap right now, that's probably the toughest division to look through. The Trotting Colts are starting to separate a little bit now. Pacing fillies are just deadlocked. The Pacing Colt, I think we only have the one maybe for a while anyway. Sox can't find a way for Sox to get ahead of AJ. But, AJ is there, and then the Trotting fillies. I guess that's a tough one too. It's a tough one too. So yeah, maybe I'm wrong, but the Pacing fillies definitely 3 across the track right now. Out of nowhere came Gorgeous Package, but Rose Run Alexandra, Gorgeous Package, and Foxy Seaside are all very, very good fillies at this point. Freedom Hill, we cried over splints. It gave her a week. She's another filly for a different reason now. Her training was definitely modified. She'd done That's what we modified it to last week. We just jogged her, cryoed her splints. She'll start back up. I guess we got to figure out what day we're training.
What's that?
The horses. Tuesday, I would imagine, would be a good day to train. Gaslight Hall, I talked about him at the start of this video. I love Gaslight Hall, and I think he's going to have a very good future ahead of him. Yes, his knees are suspect, but I need everybody to understand, if you went through every 2-year-old barn right now, everybody's barns and x-rayed all their 2-year-olds' knees, I think you'd be very surprised what you found. That is no different than any athlete. These are things that, you see that what the vets call remodeling, where their knees are kind of filling in and closing up really, really nice. And then you have some horses that'll pop a chip off one of those, or they'll get lines in their knees. So this is all about avoiding the latter two. We don't want to hear about chips. We don't want to see lines this time of year. We want to see those lines if we're going to see them back in March, so that we can back off and let them fill in and come forward. And that's what we've done with any of our horses. That's what we always try to do with all of our horses. And Gaslight Hall is certainly one of those horses right now. His knees are a little bit sore, but he is working his way through it. We're using jogging and swimming for the next little while. The first stake race, I guess, is that Tompkin Gears. That's the name of the stake that moved from the Meadowlands to Mohawk. And if I was to guess right now, we have Chicago Hall, who's training
That's
great.
Mohawk?
Yeah, they moved it to Mohawk. Yeah, June 26th, I think.
I remember inputting it, but I don't remember it being...
Yeah, it's Mohawk. Yeah, it is. So Chicago Hall, Century, Legion, even Trevino and Green trained great the other day. All those horses in the hunt. I don't feel a rush to get Gaslight Hall ready for June 26th. I'm going to focus on the first stake race, which is about 2 weeks later. It doesn't sound like a lot, but it is a big deal when you're trying to navigate that timeline. Gorgeous Package, as they called her, the Rudy Horse of the Year. She really is. She's a horse that entered our barn with very limited expectations. Showed that she was okay, did her work okay. Really, depending on who was sitting on her, it may have impressed them or not impressed them in any way all throughout the winter. And then she just seemed to slowly but surely come to life. And she made a break on Jason one day. We put a mark.
I feel like the turning point, like, I only got those splints cryoed.
It played a big role, you're right.
And I do think that she came around a little bit.
She does, and we talk about it all the time. You talk about how the horses get agitated. I talk to everybody. Who's the guy right now I'm training? I trained him the other day at 13. Dancing by myself. He gets that way. He's very agitated right now because he's interfering, right? He's trying to find his way. He's trying to turn that corner and get through that last hurdle, and he's struggling to do it. He'll get there. It comes with a lot of, as I like to say, that rinse and repeat attitude. Just keep going out there. It's much like a pitcher. I say it to all of you, and you hear analysts talk about it all the time. Can't find the strike zone? You certainly don't sit in the bench. You're not going to find it in there. Go back and find it. You got to go and work and work and work and work until you get back into the swing of things. And Dancing by Myself is a talented colt, trained down, very talented. And as we get to this last little turn, which is a hurdle caused by speed, and there's no shortage of speed, but caused by speed. Is this the one coming up here? It says Starbucks drive-through here.
No, this isn't it's St. Catharines. We're in Grimsby.
Oh, we're 34 miles. I see. Yep. Okay. Yep. I understand. So, it's just a matter of working your way through it. That's it. Nothing else. And he'll get there. He'll get there, no problem at all. So, how did I jump over him Dancing by Myself? I think I did back here. Country Dancing by Myself. So that is Dancing by Myself. I apologize. I jumped right over him. Trained the other day, but still get to a turn, and he just feels extremely agitated. As Amy was saying, this is how Gorgeous Package was acting a little bit too, and her splints were hurting her. So in times she'd just get angry because she was sore. She was hurting. Now, before you ask the obvious question, well, is there somewhere that is hurting Dancing by Myself? I don't believe there is, but we again will head back over him this week to see if we can't find anything that maybe shook loose. Are you sure it's not right here?
Yes, I'm sure.
Looks like it though, right? No, I mean, Starbucks and A&W. That was it right there.
Oh, I was thinking of the one by the mall.
Is that the one you want to go to by the mall? Yeah, that makes more sense. That's fine. We jumped all the way. Now we're at Gorgeous Package. As I said, I call her our Rudy Horse of the Year because she has been super talented. And quite frankly, we come a quarter in 29 seconds the other day, 29 and 3 in the jog card. And I had a pretty good hold of it going through the wire. Rose Run AJ was on my inside. You were on my outside with Rose Run Alexandra. But I had a pretty good hold of her going right through the wire. Now, it's always easier when you're in a jog cart with babies and you step on the gas in that type of scenario. It's very hard for the horses behind the leader to catch up on a half-mile track. So all 3 of those horses trained very, very good the other day, but truly impressed. I expected from AJ and Alexandra. This filly now is just wowing everybody. It's very impressive to watch take place. Grand Old Chap is out in the field. He'll remain out there for another, I don't know. He'll remain out there until I bring him in. Grand Slam Dio trained good the other day too. Very happy with the way this filly's come around. Green Glitter, same type of thing. Super happy with these horses right now. Gymboree has looked good and continues to look good. I love Gymboree. Amy was right. We gave her the weekend off. Didn't train her because she's coming off the virus. And I think that will pay dividends at some point in her career, but definitely in the near future as she trains down. He's a great guy. He's getting it. He's getting it. He trained decent the other day again, I think, right? The haul was way too tight on him. But I think he'll appreciate when they let them out this week. High Hopes made that break in the first lap. She was bomb-proof after that, and I'm just trying to figure out, should I just slow her down and warm her up for that mile faster? Does she need that? Or is it more of a mental thing, a focus thing? But she's got a pretty nice gait. I hope if she can just clean her gait up a little bit more where she can get a little more confidence, I think she's going to be a very, very nice fit. Tons of speed. But she is in limbo right now. A little concerned with, when you get to the turn, she softens right up. I'd like to get her to a point where she just busts right through. But we're just not there yet with High Hopes. I Don't Play Nice has been great all year long. Continues to be a very, very nice colt. I'm a Trucker's turned out. He'll be turned out for another couple of weeks maybe. I know I put 30 days there, but that'll depend on what he looks like.
Well, it's already been 2 weeks.
Yeah, you're right. It's been 2 weeks. I'm ready too. We'll begin training him this week. He was on a little bit of modified training for a few weeks. We'll begin starting him up Tuesday, I guess we'll have a slower set on Tuesday for some of the horses coming back. Leggy, she's not going to train for another week or so. She had a little bit of soreness in her left hind. I think she knuckled over and whacked it a couple of times. Just a little bit of heat and a little bit of swelling there. It's in a tricky spot, so you don't want to start screwing around in there. She'll be in that aqua treadmill for another, let's say, 2 weeks, and then we'll start her back up. Lots of time. The Ohio Sire Stakes and Grassroots don't actually start until the 15th of July. We're talking about the ones that are coming forward because of obviously the next generation that starts on the first week. Manhattan Money, got to start training him in the race bike. He's too big. The big bugger. He's hitting the jog carts now. You get him down around 218 and he starts clubbing that's why he ran the other day. I heard him. He hit it 5 or 6 times and finally said, that's enough of that. We're just going to...
It would terrify him too.
Oh, yeah. Well, he took it pretty good.
Did he?
He gave it 5 or 6 good whacks before he finally run. But, he'd had enough. I think we'll just put him in the race bike and start schooling him slow behind the gate because he's probably going to get need to take a couple of good looks at the gate before he's ready.
Oh, yeah, you wanted to throw me out there.
You don't want to go with him this week? Chicken. So Memento Mori, Manhattan Money is going to go in the race bike for now, and only because he's too big. Can't fit in the jog cart at that speed. Melisandre looks awesome the last week of jogging. We're going to finish her off for another week. I don't think we're going to train her this week. It hasn't been 3 weeks anyway, has it? No. We're going to give her another week of just jogging. I want to have Mike have a real good look at her again, see what he thinks about that curve area of her. But the thing about a curve is it usually stays popped out until you cryo it and treat it. Hers intermittently pops out, and I don't really know. It's not normal for it to do that. It's odd. She's sound on it. Looks great on the track. But when you really put the heavy lifting to her, sometimes she does get off of that left hind. She does get a little sore in that curve area, and I'm wondering if Dr. Latessa might want to have a closer look at it, maybe cryo it anyway. I'm not sure. That will be up to him and him alone. But she looks like $1 million on the track. She just looks sharper on the track, too. Memento Mori has solidified himself, I think, right now anyway, top of the heap for our trotting colts. I can't think of one. I haven't come across one better than him just yet on the list. And he has been extremely good the last 3-4 weeks. Looked great again this weekend. Mountaineer Prince, he'll be ready to go end of June. This guy trained him in 16 the other day. He looked very good in the set that he was in. I suspect we'll probably have him qualify on open house day, same as everybody else. My Wicked Heart looked good. I won the set with her the other day. Looked good.
What'd you think?
I thought she was okay. Not bad. A little choppy at times, but definitely stretched her out a little bit, and I was happy with what I saw from My Wicked Heart for sure. Never Lose Felix, a very frustrating horse. Very frustrating horse. Got a flat mile the other day, and about 8 strides after the wire made a break. And I know he touched his ankle. I know he's interfering a little bit, but he's going to have to clean it up, and he's going to have to get to work. I think this guy, he might be one that we take to the Meadows to qualify also. I think he'll appreciate a bigger track. We'll see. What's that?
He made money.
Money actually gets around the half really good. I think he'd be fine. We just get him in that big bike. I think
He
he'd be...
doesn't need to.
What's that?
Doesn't need to.
No, he doesn't, but I think he will. I think we'll qualify here once anyway. Oh Hill No lost a shoe the other day and made a break. Now, that was a little weird. She lost her shoe and then literally 2 strides later was on the run. And she's been training fantastic. So I was a little surprised she made a break, but pretty telling. She lost her front shoe, a flip-flop, and then made a break because of it 2 or 3 strides later. One would believe that maybe her feet are a little tender if she's going to make breaks that easily. Oh Hill No. Pelican Al is out. He'll be out for a little while also. And again, you know, for Dave, when you have a roster of horses, especially at the stable, and you have the flux, Dave's had a couple of Series Dragon who get injured. He's ready to go now. We had a number of other horses that have injuries, but those horses, they aren't going anywhere, right? It's just about what is best for the horse, because what is best for the horse is the best for us. And although you may not see Series Dragon race the last 6 or 8 months, you're going to see him race the next 6 or 8 for sure. And I think he's in a good spot right now. Now, hopefully he comes back. Here's horse and win at 49 with a line and a bone. Now, the fact that he was sore for a while would lead me to believe that was there for a while. Now he's not. Now he's good. It would stand to reason that he would be a better horse for it. But we'll see. He was a good horse before we put him away. I suspect he'll be a good or better horse right now. And he's back. Princess Dream also should start jogging within the next week or so, I would imagine. She looked very good. I know I just checked in on her quick in the stall. She looks great in the stall. They say her legs are coming along nicely and filling in nicely. So there's no reason to believe that she can't start back up soon. Yes, she's missed some time, but there was the difference between her injury and say she sits at the bar. She sits there, was injured,
Yeah.
right? Princess Dream was not. That's all superficial. I wouldn't really call that. Sure, she was injured in a superficial manner, but none of the ligaments, tendons, bones, anything were in any jeopardy or hurt in any way. So all that stuff will fill back in and she'll be just fine. Resolve Indeed looked great on the track on Saturday too. Really happy with what I have seen from Resolve Indeed. She looks great.
Are they swimming or are they just...
Same thing, 3 days on, 3 days off, swimming and jogging. Her and Gaslight Hall, and it really seems to be making a big difference. So I'm really happy with what I've seen in that regard. Rose Run AJ and Rose Run Alexandra, I'll do them both at the same time because they've been training the same, and that's fantastic. You went with Alexandra the other day, and she looked very good. Added some knee boots because when I went with her the week before, I think I went a mile like 14 or 15 or 16 with her, and I really cut her loose on the end of the mile. Stretched her out good. In the turn, she was mighty close to that inside knee and hanging on the right line. So we blistered her knees, put knee boots on her a couple days later, and then had that Murphy blind, added the Murphy to the left. Now, as she trained down, she used to be on the left, used to be on the right when she trained, and now it's on the left. So just keeping an eye on her. But man, she looked great training the other day, both her, Rose Run AJ, and Gorgeous Package. Rosetta, I haven't gone with Rosetta. Amy has. Now she lost. What's going on here, meow?
Oops.
Whoopsie. She tried to get inside the pylons there with that Camry. Pylons are made of concrete. Didn't work out too well. Rosetta, Amy said, is flawless. Now, made that break. I think she was just a little bit acted stupid, cleared to the front, saw everything in front of her, and just rolled off stride, which is a telling moment. Maybe you got to put her in gear and keep her in gear. But then again, we were trying to go slow, and I think that played probably a big role. She was in that middle of the road. We've been pushing them kind of hard, and then to slow them right down and put them into a position where you're trying to attack somewhat or accelerate, but at the same time staying in neutral. I think maybe she just lost herself and rolled off stride. But it's good to hear that she's been trotting great because she is a nice filly. And then obviously every single year we got to have one that breaks her heart, and she sits at the bar. Just the most harmless thing. Right? We've got horses that got away from somebody or get out of the door. We got horses that dump people out of the jog cart and run loose. It happens. These are babies. It does happen. But to have, she sits at the bar, they told us that she was loose for 4 minutes max from the time she got out of the barn to the time they caught her, and then had done so much damage to that hind leg. It's just, now I was happy to hear and talk to Dr. Brown about the injury, and he was extremely optimistic. But obviously the next 10 days play a role because you're talking about infection, right? You're talking about an exposed joint and infection. It's a real problem. So is there going to be any infection? And in turn, is there going to be any arthritis? Those are the two questions that have to be answered. And once we can answer those two questions, it's easy to formulate a prognosis for she sits at the bar. But a devastating loss to our barn and our crew thus far. I can't imagine. I know Dr. Brown was trying to be super optimistic and said, in 30 days she could be in the aqua treadmill if everything heals up nicely, and then 30 days after that jogging. I just don't see the point in continuing on at that point. Let her heal properly and focus on, I guess, 2025 with a filly that we held in extremely high regard. I guess when I look at this, my own personal positive spin is racing 2-year-olds is tough, and it can be hard on them sometimes too. And if you have a horse that you can wait with and race as a 3-year-old rather than a 2-year-old, if it was going to be good at 2, it should be good at 3. And it's not always the case, but it does happen a lot of the times. And I still have very high hopes for she sits at the bar. But we'll see what the next 10 days brings in that regard. Southwind Idex continues to get better. Daryl was actually pleased with him the other day. He's been a little lazy and laying on the line virtually his whole life, but he's getting better and better and better now, and Daryl is actually very happy with him, which I was very happy to hear. Speed of Sound, big giant filly. She's coming along nicely. She's going to have a couple of hurdles. She's a little bit behind everybody. Speed-wise, she's close, but figuring it all out and cleaning her gait up, she's a little bit behind everybody, and I'm perfectly fine with that. I mean, she's not going to make the end of June Sire Stakes, but she still has races all year long, and I think she has a lot to offer. We just have to be very careful how much we ask for and when we ask for it with this filly. The Priest is training great again, looked great again the other day with Jason. Very happy with him, and I was thoroughly impressed with Trevino on green. Another mile and 2:22 with him. He was good. Trained well on the weekend. Wander Hill, Jason said, was infinitely better with his shoes turned around the right way. Now, he was happy with them. I'd like to see Wander Hill continue to move forward. He's a super likable horse, and I'd like to see him turn into a pretty good horse. Right now, he's in limbo. I couldn't even guess whether he's going to be a racehorse, fair horse, or a stake horse. I don't know. The sky's the limit for him, but a pretty likable horse all in all. Westland Warrior seems like a very good horse. Now, Jason gave us another unique training trip the other day, put him in a tough spot, and then ran over a wheel with him. Might find a wheel in his racing career if I drive him, so he's getting used to them. But he was fine after. Jason just said, I put him in a tough spot, and I think I touched a wheel, and he made a break. Not the end of the world. What a Lady, What a Night continues to advance. Amy said she looked a little rough again. At some point, we could put the hobbles on her if we have to, but I'm not too worried about her right now. She's just a nice filly that has a good attitude and doesn't have to race till August. That's the one thing we have to remember with her and Allie's Got Grit. They don't have races until August. No rush. And Woodmere Betcha trained very, very good on Saturday also. She was in the middle. I think I hung out with Trevino on green, and she was in the middle, and the other horse was Chicago? No. Oh, Dominic's horse was on the far outside. We finished right in a firing line at the wire. It was a great day of training in Ontario. We went with 6 at the door, and all 6, like 3 by 3, finished right beside each other in both sets. So happy with the way that turned out. So those are your 2-year-olds. A little longer version today because we had to explain the injury of She Sits at the Bar, and talk about some horses. I wanted to talk about responding to Dave's email and explaining The difference, I suppose, between me just generically writing injured beside the horse and the horse being truly injured. I see an injured horse, I think of a horse that is going to miss an extended period of time. When I see a 2-year-old that is injured, it usually means they're going to miss most, if not all, of their 2-year-old season. Whereas Gaslight Hall and Princess Dream, I don't think that's even remotely the case. So happy to clarify that. I hope that sheds some light on that, and I hope brings some solace to some concerns from Dave or anybody else. But I did want to talk about all our 2-year-olds. They have been training down well. I have been happy. Yes, I'm a little gloomy and a little depressed over what happened on Saturday, but you know, I understand how quickly these things can happen. I've had it happen to myself, both while on a horse, broke my wrist quickly, and horses also. So just glad that Tressa was okay and that the filly will recover hopefully. But again, as I said, that storyline will play out over the next 10 days. So we'll talk to all of you soon. We still got our 3-year-olds and our 4-year-olds to talk about, but those are all of your 2-year-olds. You're all up to date. Take care.